Welcome to Hub Sports Radio. It is Friday. There we go. Friday, October the 28th. Ian Cameron, Skee Prophet, and Billy Briz, your Friday crew, ready to break down the Friday NBA card. We've got a massive slate on this Friday, 11 games. So let's jump right in with Atlanta, Detroit. We've got the Hawks 6.5-point road favorites, 229 being the total in this game. I'm not the biggest fan of these back-to-back games with the same two teams in the same place, the same venue, but they're doing it this year in the NBA, and you've got to try to find the angles, I guess, from a betting standpoint. You almost have to treat these like a little playoff series where, you kind of have the team that loses the first game. They're going to want to bounce back and win the next game. I take it like a playoff handicap, though, where if it's a mismatched series or if you find it's two teams that are one's clearly better than the other, maybe that's not going to work, just betting on the team that loses the first game. Whereas if it's a more competitive, two teams playing each other, then maybe that off a loss and you're playing the same team again the second game, you could go back and bet the team that lost the previous game. Now, here you have Detroit losing the first game to Atlanta 2 nights ago, 118-113, but they did cover the number in defeat in that game, losing only by 5. You have Atlanta finding a way to win. Atlanta's not been covering numbers this year for the most part. Last two, of course, they haven't. They had the loss to Charlotte. And when you look at this Atlanta schedule, they play the Milwaukee Bucks in a Big Eastern Conference matchup tomorrow night. So, look, Atlanta still won the game straight up against Detroit in their last game. With the Milwaukee game on tap tomorrow night, kind of has me leaning Detroit here a little bit. Plus the points, I think the Detroit Pistons will be a little bit more competitive this year, a little bit better. Jaden Ivey missed, by the way, the last game. We should point that out against Atlanta due to a non-COVID illness, but might be able to return tonight. Looks like it's going to be a game-time decision. If he doesn't go, you're going to get more run from Killian Hayes, Hamidou Diallo, Corey Joseph. Guys like that are probably going to get more playing time for the Pistons. But I'm leaning Pistons to it. It's not best bet material, but with Atlanta playing Milwaukee tomorrow night, they already beat this team Wednesday night. Are they really the kind of team on the road for a second straight time against this Pistons team that you can trust laying points? I'm not so sure. So I'm leaning a little bit Detroit here. Skee, what are you thinking? Atlanta, Detroit?
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same way here because, Detroit hung with them that whole game. Detroit was winning, through parts of that game too. So just that combined with, knowing Atlanta played Milwaukee in the series, and I think they really want to get up for that game tomorrow. The quick revenge, and they just played, what was it, less than 3, what was it, just 2 days ago? Yeah, so in-season revenge, home dog, same location. They didn't have to travel anywhere, and line is shifting towards the Pistons. I got this from UCapper, so I give him credit. It's 30, 10, and 1 against the spread. That's 75%. That says play Detroit. And in general, this home dog row getting 6 or more points has been their role the past year or two. So I'm liking Detroit too. I've been holding up, pulling the trigger all day, but I'm pretty sure I need to get to the window with this one.
Yeah, Detroit. You know what? I'd like the over in the last game. I stayed off Detroit. I'd probably lean the over again here, but I'm going to jump on Detroit probably as well here. What are you liking here, Billy, with Atlanta, Detroit?
Yeah, even though these two teams just played Wednesday, I actually lean towards Atlanta. Dogs at home, who won the first one and are a dog at home in the second one, are just 2-9 ATS over the past 2 seasons since they started doing this little back-to-back homestands. So the numbers say Atlanta here for me, but just because of the first half of a back-to-back, I kind of want to lean off of it. But Atlanta or pass for me.
Atlanta or pass for Billy. We go to Charlotte now, taking on Orlando. Magic, home underdogs, 3.5 they were, down to 1.5, 220 the total here in this game. Charlotte, of course, looks like Terry Rozier. He's been the game time decision for the last several games, and he's missed the last 2 games against Atlanta and New York. He'll miss his 3rd straight with that right ankle issue. So it looks like you're going to be dealing with more Dennis Smith, Kelly Oubre tonight. LaMelo Ball still out for the Hornets as well tonight, so keep that in mind. Shorthanded, definitely in the backcourt. Very depleted Charlotte. And I've talked about over and over, Orlando is pretty much in the same category with their backcourt. It's just littered with injuries. Jalen Suggs, Gary Harris, Markelle Fultz. Now you add Cole Anthony to the walking wounded here for the Magic. But, they are getting points at home. They're 0-5. But this is probably their best chance for a win. You look at the schedule. They played Detroit, tough, lost the season opener to the Pistons. But after that, they played Atlanta Hawks. They played the Boston Celtics. They played the New York Knicks. They played a much improved, a pretty good Cleveland Cavaliers team. This looks like the best opportunity for Orlando to have a breakthrough here and get this first win of the season. So to a point, I understand, taking Orlando. I'm not laying points with Charlotte on the road. That much I know. Do I want to get there with Orlando? I'd certainly lean in that direction. Nothing super strong for me. Skee, what do you think here? Charlotte taking on Orlando.
I'm thinking Orlando should probably get a win here. I'm never really going to look to lay points with the Charlotte team ever. I just don't think they're that good, especially you got their main guys out. So getting the points, that's the only way I can look here. As far as props, I was looking towards Wendell Carter Jr. on his rebounds because Charlotte's kind of small. They allow a lot of them, but 10.5 got kind of juice. So I can't take it if it's juice. The only way I can look is Orlando plus.
Point this out, Orlando, believe it or not, field goal percentage defense, their numbers are better than Charlotte. And Orlando's faced a schedule here where you look at it, they've faced some pretty good competition early in the season. So this actually, to me, this does set up to be Orlando's chance here to get off the schneid. So Magic's definitely the lean for me. What do you think here, Billy?
Yeah, you guys got me scared, man. I feel like we're all in the Orlando Magic today, man. The Hornets, man, I'm not laying any money with them, especially with them being favored down their top 3 scorers this season. I think the Magic have the length around the rim to give this team problems. I love the Orlando Magic money line spot, pace up spot could lead towards some props. Paolo Pincheiro has been absolutely crushing the prop market this year. His points have gone up, though, to 23.5 today. So we're going to lean over 1.5 3-pointers at -111. But best spot on this card, though, is definitely Orlando Magic money line. And if you're in the player performance, Wendell Carter Jr. double-double in Orlando Magic to win is +190 on FanDuel.
There you go. Good value with that. I agree with Banchero props. It's not like Charlotte's front court's going to put the fear of God in anybody either. So should be an opportunity for him to have a productive night like he's had most of the season so far. All right, another rematch situation next up. Philadelphia and Toronto. The Raptors 2-point home favorites, 213 the total in this game. Raptors, look, they just outplayed and outworked Philly in that game. I mean, they were just the hustle points, the loose balls, rebounds. I mean, they had a great team effort there against Philadelphia. And Philly's had a tough time in this building, believe it or not, especially in the regular season. So we'll see if the Raptors can pull off back-to-back. You'd expect the Sixers to be a lot better here in this game after losing 119-109 in that first game. It was all 5 starters, by the way, double digits in scoring for the Raptors. Barnes, Gary Trent Jr. had a huge game. Siakam was outstanding. It was just a great team performance. And from the Sixers, James Harden had a good first quarter. You didn't really see him at all after that. Joel Embiid, he scored 31, but it seemed like it was a quiet 31, if you will, for him the other night. Philly's probably going to play better. It's one of those situations where these are 2 teams where in the rematch situation, the team I like to back off the loss is usually the team I think that's the better team. I still think Philadelphia long term is going to be better than Toronto, but I don't know. I don't like the way they play in this building. They have a tough time here, but I would lean Sixers. I'm probably going to stay off, but after the Raptors got this one, you'd expect Philly to be a little bit better. But at the same time, you also look at that schedule of Philly, you guys, and they've got 1 win this year against Indiana at home. I mean, it's not like this is a trustworthy group right now with the obvious issues they're having early in the season. They're trying to get consistency. They're trying to get chemistry developed, and it's happened. They're having some issues with that. And I thought PJ Tucker, they'd improved defensively, and I thought they were soft defensively the first time around against Toronto the other night, and Embiid's knee is bothering him again. He's questionable. The game time decision apparently for tonight, but I'm probably going to stay off though. This one, I don't know if I can trust Philly, but after Toronto got the first one, I don't know if I'll back them either. What do you think here, Skee? Sixers, Raptors?
Yeah, Embiid downgraded to questionable, right?
Yeah, it was a late one too after shoot around.
Yep.
Whether he plays or not, I mean, if he does play, he doesn't do good versus Toronto. They kind of just have a good game plan for him, and that's why I was on him in the first time around. But even if he doesn't, it's a lot less rim protection out there for Philly. And it's a lot of lengthy guys on this Toronto squad who probably have a field day at the rim. So I just think, Toronto has Philly's card. Philly also plays tomorrow. I got Toronto +1, but I still would take them right now. I think they're the right side.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes these teams with obvious chemistry issues early in the season, especially ones that are struggling both straight up and ATS, like Philadelphia, sometimes you just got to back away and let them work it out before you get involved. What do you think, Billy?
Backwood for me, man. I don't think Embiid's going to play this game. And even if he wasn't, it would be kind of a slight lean still towards Toronto, front end of the back-to-back pass game for me.
There you go. Pass for Billy Briz on this one. All right, down we go to Cleveland and Boston. Boston Celtics, 6.5 point home favorites, 218.5 being the total in this game. The Celtics, I don't know what happened in Chicago the other night, but not that same performance at all from the Celtics in that one. 120-102, getting whipped by the Bulls in that game. We'll see if they bounce back strong here in this one. They are off a humbling defeat, so you'd expect a lot better here from the Celtics tonight in this game. But I'm telling you what, don't sell the Cleveland Cavaliers short. 3-1 to start the season. The only loss was to a Toronto Raptor team that's a solid team, and it was only by 3 points. It's not like this team is losing games by margin. I'm tempted to take Cleveland. In fact, I think I am going to take Cleveland. I like Cleveland. I've been high on Cleveland all year. I've been looking for reasons to back Cleveland. I get it. Boston's pissed off, not happy with their performance the other night defensively, especially against the Chicago Bulls. But I like what I'm seeing out of this Cleveland group. And, even without Darius Garland, without Ricky Rubio, we've talked about how that backcourt's been a little bit depleted. LeVert and Mitchell are picking up the slack. Mobley and Allen are twin towers that I think could absolutely feast in this matchup. I'm still not a big fan of a Boston front court that, as long as Robert Williams is not there, I think they're vulnerable down low in the paint area. So I think for Mobley and Allen, this is a good matchup for them. Both ends of the floor. I like the points here with Cleveland, even though Boston, you'd expect focus after a debacle the other night in the Windy City. Skee, what do you like in here, Cavs and Celtics?
I would want to take the Cavs here just because I think they have an advantage down low. But the rest advantage, you guys know, I really tried my best to stay away from, going against it. So I like Jared Allen here to get a double-double. He's hit it 3 of the 4 games so far this year, and he averaged a double-double the past 2 seasons. And the Celtics, they're without Robert Williams. They're going to be without Grant Williams because he's suspended, and they've allowed the opposing center to have a double-double 3 of the last 4 games. So that's my best look on this one at +115.
Another thing, too, is you're really digging into the depth or lack thereof now of that front court. It means more Blake Griffin. I don't know if that's a good thing. It means more, Noah Vonleh, Luke Cornett. I mean, you're really digging into the depth of the Celtics front court to find bodies and people to eat up the minutes when you don't have Robert or Grant Williams available to you. And there's a big drop-off. What do you think, Billy, here, Cleveland, Boston?
There's only one play in this game. Best player on the board for props. Jason Tatum over 26.5 points, man. He's been on an absolute tear this season. 35 points, 29, 40, and 26. Celtics are going to come out here, and I don't know if they're going to win the game or not, but they're going to be inspired to. And Jason Tatum's going to shoot the rock, and he's been adding to his game this year. 26.5 points seems a little bit too low for Tatum.
All right, Tatum over his points for Billy in this one, 26.5. Obviously a number he can certainly get over the total if he's on his game. Indiana, Washington, we've got the Wizards here, 5.5 point home favorites, 229 being the total in this one. I'd certainly acknowledge the 3-1 start for the Wizards, 2-0 at home. They've played some solid basketball, but let's not go overboard with praise. Indiana, Detroit, couple of those wins, Chicago. And I think they caught Chicago in a back-to-back spot as well when they beat the Bulls. So I don't want to go crazy with praise about Washington's performance so far. They lost, of course, as well to to Cleveland, the one loss this year in overtime. But it's been a nice start. Like I say, this is a better basketball team, obviously, than last year with some of the pieces they added. Monte Morris now a healthy Bradley Beal. All of a sudden, you got a nice backcourt there to work off and build around for this Washington team. And it's Indiana, though, continues to have problems. I stepped in and took the plus 7.5 with them Wednesday night against Chicago, and they lost by 15. It's just, I don't know if I'm willing to come back to the well with the Pacers again. It's been a rough start. Their only victory was against Detroit, 124-115. They get a loss to San Antonio at home. They lose to Washington, Philly, and Chicago. So it's been a rough start. Just one win straight up and ATS on the season for Indiana. I don't know. The more this number comes down, the more I might get interested actually in Washington. I get it that do we trust the Wizards to be laying points as much as, say, pick them or when they're a dog? No. But at the same time, I haven't seen enough out of this Indiana team, especially defensively, to trust them. So I don't know. This line keeps trickling down further. I might make a case for Washington here. Skee, anything you like, Pacers, Wizards?
Yeah, I'm looking more towards the Washington side, and I've bet it a couple ways already. And I honestly, I'm thinking the same way as you, Ian. Like I wanted to come in here and just bet them full game, but when I just think of Wizards laying points like that, I just don't really want to do it. So just digging a little deeper, looking at the Pacers, they just have been starting games slow for whatever reason. Whether you want to say, they're tanking, they're letting teams get out to huge leads in the first quarter, in the first half. I think they're allowing a little bit over 35 points per game in the first quarter. So if you want to look towards Washington first quarter team total or anything like that, I can't talk you off, but I just chose to take Washington first quarter minus 1.5. The point margin for the first quarter for the Pacers was like minus 10. And then I also took them for the first half minus 2.5 for the same reason, just because the first half number is still minus 12. They let them get out to these big leads and then, see if maybe they can make a push at the end and come back. And I was thinking about the full game still, just because, if I was to do the Skee line kind of deal, it makes the implied probability 61.8%, and home favorites with the rest advantage, they win 72.5% of the time. So I see an edge there. I'm looking at road dogs that also play again the next day on the road. They only win 28% of the time in that first game. And that's what the Pacers are looking at today. So first quarter, first half are locked in. I'm still thinking about doing the Skee line for the full game, which is the money line and the spread. And if you like the Pacers, just go bet Halliburton, man. Points and assists. Simple.
Exactly. I mean, that you can't go wrong with the Tyrese. I'll give you one more, though, for Indiana. Even though I like Washington a little bit in this game, I'll give you one more. Benedict Mathurin. Now, there's not many books that have his props right now. There's one that I see right now, Cool Bet. And they've got his point prop at 16.5. I like that over. I mean, he has been great off the bench for this Pacers team early in the season. You look at the numbers for the rookie out of Arizona so far, 19, 26, 27, 17, 15 in the last game, albeit that was a blowout against Chicago. So he's only fallen below 16.5 points once this year. I think that's a great prop. Benedict Mathurin for Indiana over 16.5. Billy, how about you? Indiana, Washington.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to what Skee said, man. I mean, how do you not bet the Tyrese Halliburton over 27.5 points and assists? He's gone over this total in every game so far this season, and I don't expect too much to change, man. That's the only play I really like here in this game is the Halliburton over 27.5 points and assists.
All right, next up, we've got those LA Lakers. Will they win a basketball game before I die? We'll see. Minnesota, 6.5 point home favorites, 230.5 the total. In this one. Oh, Russell Westbrook, you're off the hook, my friend. Everyone just saying, oh, Russell Westbrook going to not play tonight. Watch out now. Chance for the Lakers maybe to see how good they could be without him. And same old Lakers. They lose to the Denver Nuggets the other night in that game against they hung around for the first half, and then, they had a bad third quarter and couldn't recover from it. Just buried them in that game. They end up losing 110-99. Now 0-4 to start the year, straight up, and ATS as well. So, it's been a rough start for the Lakers. That being said, the betting markets are finally starting to price the Lakers where they should be. For the longest time, we've still seen them laying points. We've still seen them, in a pick 'em price range, and they really haven't been devalued or downgraded enough. Well, now you're starting to see it because you look at this point spread. I mean, they were 5-point dogs against the Nuggets the other night. 7.5 point underdogs, although they've been bet down a little bit to 6.5 here against Minnesota. And I'll tell you right now about this Minnesota team. I know they did finally step on the neck and play pretty close to 4 quarters for the first time this year against San Antonio, the last game, 134-122. But this, prior to that, had not been a team that had been playing strong basketball for an entire game. They take quarters off. They take halves off. I've talked about other second half performances haven't been great. And I'm still leery about that when you're saying, yeah, let's lay points with Minnesota. If you gave me a bet here to make in this game, I'd absolutely be Minnesota or nothing here. But the Timberwolves have had issues blowing leads in the second half of games. And now the betting markets are crashing on the Lakers. So there's adjustments being made here. So this is probably going to end up being a backwood for yours. Same with the total. I mean, 230, Minnesota, you could see that game go over. How can you trust a Laker game to go over the total right now with the fact they're shooting an all-time historically bad three-point shooting percentage as a team? Nobody can make a perimeter Jimmy for this Laker team right now. How can we bet them over 230 a total like that? I can't, so it's a backwood for me with the Lakers and the Timberwolves. Skee, Lakers, Timberwolves.
Backwood.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to go, Vic, in the background on the ones and twos producing the show here. Yeah, no Dutch today, but we can still roll the backwood. Absolutely. Especially because it might, I think, be a consensus here, backwood, unless Billy says he likes something here. Do you, Billy?
Nah, this is a major backwood. If I had to play on this game, I'd probably lead towards the under on the Lakers team total. 100 and it's 111.5. I don't know, man. This is under pass, everything above. They don't even have the Laker props up on the book because of their injury report, so major backwood.
All right. Yeah.
There we go. The backwood's
They
getting the
got
work
Matt Ryan out here playing basketball. Didn't they already learn the Colts bench their quarterback named Matt Ryan?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, man, watching that Lakers game on Wednesday night against the Denver Nuggets, you're like, holy shit, is this team actually that bad?
Yeah, it's a mess right now for the Lakers at this point in time. And again, we'll have to wait and see if, like I say, we're finally seeing an adjustment for the Lakers in terms of their finally being lowered in terms of their power rating game by game, the point spread. Let's see if it's been lowered enough tonight. Knicks and Bucks. Next up, Milwaukee, 6-point home favorites, 223.5 being the total in this one. The Knicks didn't have their best game. I think of all the games they played this year, that one was probably the worst, certainly defensively, that they've played. I mean, they gave up almost 50% shooting to the Hornets in that game, but they survived it with a 134-131 victory over the Charlotte Hornets. Now only one loss on the year, New York, to Memphis in overtime, 115-112. So it's been a nice start to the year. Milwaukee has gotten off to a solid start, 3-0 straight up in ATS with wins against the Sixers, the Rockets, and the Nets, of course, earlier this week. I like Milwaukee. I know Dutch like Milwaukee. I think all of us kind of lean Milwaukee in that game, knowing Brooklyn is having their issues so far in this game. But this one's another one that's tough. Because to me, the Knicks in the road dog role, I could see them hanging around in spots like this, like they did against Memphis. But at the same point in time, you've got this Bucks team that's really playing great basketball. Giannis is just terrorizing opposing teams. You've got that, I think, that chip on their shoulder early in the season to be ready to go, play well. When you look at the fact that they failed to repeat as champions last year, I think it's refueled them going into this year. They're also a little bit banged up for tonight, though, the Bucks. I do want to point that out. Joe Ingles, Pat Connaughton, and Chris Middleton all look like they're going to be out for this game tonight for Milwaukee. So a game I'm on the fence with right now, but I do think there's some value in this number on New York, but I don't know if I want to get there. I don't know if I want to jump in front of the Milwaukee Bucks at this point in time. What do you think here, Skee? Knicks, Bucks?
Yeah, I don't have a strong opinion on this game. All I will say is the Knicks, I think 10 of their last 11 or 11 of their last 12 games on the road, they've been pretty damn good as far as covering the spread. So for that reason, and the line coming down towards New York, maybe, Milwaukee might overlook them, and New York could come in this game playing hard. So I just don't want anything to do with this game. If I have to bet, it would be the New York side.
I got to think this game might stay under as well, 223. I lean in that direction. I think New York's going to want to play better D than the Charlotte game, and I think an opponent that will excite them will lead to a better effort on the defensive end from them. So the under, I think, could get there. Billy, what do you like here, New York, Milwaukee?
I'm with you, Babano. I like the under in this game, under 223. Bucks 12-3 towards the under in our last 15 games overall. Knicks, good defensive team. I don't think this is a good spot for Julius Randle either. His point total is coming down from 19.5 to about 18 at plus money now. Man, I don't want to bet this game, but if I did, it would be the under.
All right, liking the under or leaning to the under as well, Billy, in this one. All right, Chicago, San Antonio. We got the Bulls 5-point road favorites, 231 the total in this game. Chicago, definitely a team that can score, definitely a team I don't necessarily trust defensively. And talk about teams that I don't trust defensively. Put San Antonio near the top of the list right now. They just gave up 134 points, 52 of 80. Think about that. They shot 80 field goals, Minnesota, the other night. They only missed 28. That tells you how bad and wretched the Spurs were defensively in that game the other night. 134, 122. I think you're going to probably see plenty of points in this game. I understand that the Bulls, the last two games, a little bit better effort defensively against Indiana, against Boston. But now going on the road, facing a Spurs team and they've got a big game tomorrow night back home again, Chicago, against the Philadelphia 76ers. I could see this being a little spot where that defense lapses, playing a San Antonio team that, consensus is this will be one of the worst teams in the NBA. Now, they have started out 3-1, but, let's come back to the Spurs in a month, 2 months, 3 months from now, and let's see where they are. They'll probably be among the bottom feeders in the NBA. So I'm just going to stick to the total here. I think it gets up and over the total in this game tonight. Zach LaVine, by the way, game time decision. And I still think when you look at the Bulls, too, until they get Lonzo Ball back, they're going to have those nights where they're vulnerable on the defensive end. And as for San Antonio, just not a lot of plus defenders on this roster right now. So the total, I think, goes over here. Skee, what do you think, Chicago, San Antonio?
I'm with you on the over, and I think it starts early. I'm looking at both of these teams in the first quarter. They're giving up over 30 points per game. So far this season. So the first quarter total is only 56.5. If we just look at what they're both giving up, you get there easily. And I agree with your point that, they'll probably care a lot more about facing the Sixers tomorrow than the Spurs tonight. And I don't think it stops in the first quarter. I think the no defense last all throughout the game. It's moved up from 229 to 230.5, 231. I think it's moving in the right direction, and I'm on the first quarter over and the full game over.
Yeah, two things with the Spurs. I agree. I could only take the Spurs here, but we're talking about a bad basketball team, we think, and they will be bad, even though don't be fooled by the 3-1 start. This will be a bad basketball team when it's all said and done. And number two is, I don't know if there's going to be much of a home court edge in San Antonio. As much as I enjoyed going there with our Pub Hub get together last year in the spring, it's the atmosphere is going to be hurt by the fact that the team's rebuilding. That's number one. And number two, they're coming off a road trip as well, a 4-game trip. It's not exactly like it's the greatest of spots either for the Spurs, even though we got worries about laying 5 on the road with Chicago when they play Philly tomorrow night. What do you think here, Billy Briz, Chicago, San Antonio?
I think you lay it with Chicago here, man. The Spurs are down Devin Vessel and Josh Primo, who are just good basketball players. They score points, they play defense, and that's a big hit for a Spurs team that's already not deep. They're going to have to rely on some guys that aren't really NBA viable, to be honest with you. Guys from the G League, get their rookies and stuff like that. I just feel like the Bulls are in a better spot here, -5. Bulls usually smash against sub-500 teams. Donovan's teams since with the Bulls 65% ATS covering against sub-500 teams, and I think the Spurs going to be a sub-500 team, so Bulls are past for me.
All right, leaning Bulls here. Yeah, you're right. We know Chicago last year especially beat the bad teams, never beat the good teams, and we'll see if that pattern holds true again this season. All right, Utah, Denver in the Mile High City. Denver 8.5-point home favorites, 231.5 being the total in this game. I'm taking Denver first half full game split here. I mean, there's got to be some memory in the back of their minds of, the absolute fucking egg they laid in the first game of the year against the Utah Jazz, and a little bit of a want for some redemption here in this game against Utah. I think they can get it here. I mean, Utah is another team kind of like we expected them to be pretty rough this year, but they've gotten off to a better than expected start, 4-1 straight up, 3-2 against the spread, including a couple of road wins against New Orleans and Minnesota. But I think they get Denver here. Denver's not going to come into this game taking Utah for granted, not when they got blasted 123-102 by this team on opening night of the season in Utah. I think you see a much better performance here from the Denver Nuggets. I thought against the Lakers, it was very businesslike. The defense was good. Although, again, we're talking about a team that can't make any outside shots, so that definitely played a part in it as well. But still, you like the defensive effort you saw from the Nuggets in that game. They are a little bit banged up. That is your one concern. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. Last game did not suit up for the Nuggets, but he does expect to return here for this game tonight against the Jazz. And then Kentavious Caldwell-Pope ankle issue that he's suffered in the last game against the Lakers, questionable for this game. And KCP is just one of those guys that gives you a little bit of everything. Can score double figures, can play good defense, good team guy. So we'll see if KCP is able to play for the Nuggets tonight. But this is just one of those spots where, Denver knows what happened the first time they played Utah. I think they do everything in their power to prevent history from repeating itself. So I'm going to go with a split here because I think you could also see Denver first half. They get a big lead. They get a little lazy, complacent, fall asleep a bit. And I've been burned a lot of times already this year with these teams that have these good first halves, but they don't cover the full game. I still remember memories of Golden State against Sacramento last weekend, and I got burned by it. So I'm going to go Denver here. First half -4.5 and the full game at 8.5. Skee, what are you thinking here, Utah-Denver?
I think Utah's been too scrappy to be giving up this many points, and Denver doesn't play good enough defense for me to feel comfortable doing it either. So, ultimately, it's a game I didn't play. But if I had to I think Utah plays tomorrow, though, right? That's the one thing I think I did.
Pretty sure they do. Yes, they play Memphis tomorrow at home.
Yeah, that's the one thing I really didn't like between that and just Sexton being banged up too. But I have a hard time laying it with the team who is not very good defensively. So I'm on the sidelines, and I'll just root you guys on.
Yeah. All right. Good. Fair enough. Well, you're right about that. They were struggling defensively. We know long-term home favorites, Denver, as they've struggled a little bit in that role as well. And defensively, they were strong until they played the Lakers, and then everyone's getting well. Defensively, it seems, against them. I mean, 99 points for the Lakers against a team that was, you're right, they were struggling defensively, Denver, prior to that game. Billy, how about you here? Jazz Nuggets.
I like Michael Porter Jr. over 2.5 3-pointers at -118. Shot attempts have been there for him this season behind the arc. 8 in his last game, 10 prior to that, and then 10. And then 2 for 4 in the season opener against Utah. The minutes have been there. The shot attempts have been there. No KCP. I watched that game live against the Lakers. I don't think he's going to play. He looked like he really actually fucked up his ankle. I think Michael Porter goes up and over that 3-point total. I think that should be at 3.5 at plus money. 2.5 is too low at -118. That's the way I'm going to attack this game.
All right, next up, we've got playoff rematch. First round series this was last year, and now they're meeting tonight. New Orleans Pelicans, Phoenix Suns. Phoenix right now, 7.5-point home favorites, 225 the total in this game. You got the Pelicans here after a win against Dallas, 113-111, a couple of back on Tuesday. And now they're here in Phoenix tonight for this one, 3-1 straight up, 3-1 against the spread. Are the New Orleans Pelicans. And keep in mind, this is a basketball team that really gave Phoenix a good go of it, in that first round series back in April. When you look at the way the two teams played, I mean, it was a competitive effort from that New Orleans Pelicans team. They've pushed it to 6 games before the Suns ultimately prevailed. Going into this game, the problem, though, for New Orleans is the injury situation, and there's a lot to sort through here. You've got Brandon Ingram out. You've got Zion, who's game time call, dealing with a hip injury, and will be looks like a game time call, but apparently leaning toward doubtful if you believe some reports for Zion tonight. CJ McCollum, same thing, finger injury, questionable. He'll be more of a game time call. Herb Jones, I think, quickly developed into a great two-way power forward for this team. Questionable with the knee issue for the Pelicans. So it's just Alvarado, Daniels. I mean, it's a banged up team right now. That's the one thing that's keeping me away from betting the Pelicans here plus the points, because I certainly was interested in getting this many points with this quality basketball team that I think is going to be much improved this year. But part of the reason for improvement, I thought, was having a very good, deep, healthy team, and they don't have that potentially tonight. So can't bet New Orleans until I know exactly who's in, but I definitely lean in that direction. Skee, how about you here? Pelicans, Suns.
Yeah, I've been looking at the Pelicans all day, and it's a good spot for them. It's just all these damn injuries, man. It's a chance for them to get some of that playoff revenge, and road dogs in that playoff revenge role, about 58, a little bit over 58% against the spread. So I really want to bet them. I know Ingram is already out. If Ingram was in and everybody's in, I'm running to the window to go bet the Pelicans. But no Ingram. It sounds like
No
probably
McCollum
nothing.
either.
Well, he's not out yet.
He's not out for sure, just questionable. Zion is doubtful because
Yeah.
I'm hearing game time decision, but you got Woj and you've even got Sharms, the other insider, saying they're leaning towards sitting him out tonight.
Right. And at that point, I just have to wait and see, because if Zion is out, obviously the line should probably move even a little bit more. And Herb Jones, he's still game time too. He matters. Alvarado, he was big in the series versus Phoenix. He's game time. So if I can get at least I want CJ for sure.
Yeah.
And
he's pretty important, that guy. Yeah.
If we can get, CJ, Alvarado, hopefully Herb Jones, even if we don't get Herb Jones, I still might get there with Phoenix. I just feel not Phoenix, with the Pelicans, because, we see this all the time too, when the star players are out for a team, the other team just overlooks them. They're like, oh, we got a easy W. And this is still a game where they might want some playoff revenge. So I'm just going to wait it out. Even if I got to wait till the buzzer, till Zion is on the court and walks off, I'm going to wait. And if he gets announced out and the line moves, I'm going to take the Pelicans.
Put it this way. You're right. Phoenix is off a huge win against Golden State. Think about that. Think about the fact that if New Orleans, let's say Zion's out, let's say CJ's out, let's say Herb Jones is out, we know Ingram's out already. Let's say all these guys are out. This line could skyrocket up to 10. It wouldn't shock me if it goes up to 10 or even 11 by tip-off. It could move that much with all those guys out. I'd still at that time might just right before tip-off take a plus 11 flyer with New Orleans, or plus 10. Because Phoenix could just think, oh, look at all these guys out, and they could just completely go lethargic through the motions this entire night. And there's New Orleans and all these players getting increased minutes and floor time, just playing their guts out, and they make this a competitive game somehow still. So I see what Skee's thinking, I still might be tempted to put some Pelicans in my pocket, even if they've got just a glut of their key players out tonight. Billy, what are you thinking here? New Orleans, Phoenix.
I like the first quarter under 55.5. Man, there's all these injuries, kind of like the same situation against the Mavericks the other night. And, dude, did the Pelicans fucking come out on fire in that first quarter against the Mavericks? They shot 83% field goal percentage. No way in hell that happens again. Suns are already a pace down spot here. You know how CP3 plays a lot of isolation basketball. He kind of brings down the pace in games. 55.5, way too high of over-under. I personally think the Pelicans are going to be without CJ, Zion, and at that point, give me the under here.
Right. Keep digging. Bet the under, says Billy here. Pelicans and Suns. All right. Final game of this Friday slate. It is not the most glamorous game, but Houston and Portland. We've got Portland 4-point home favorites, 222.5 being the total in this game. The train finally came off the tracks for the Portland Trail Blazers the other. I knew it could happen, but I still ended up on them as a slight dog, even though the money moved toward Miami as a road favorite in that game, and the Blazers end up losing 119-98. But let's not fail to mention that Damian Lillard getting hurt in that game played a big part in it as well. For the Portland Trail Blazers losing, and they were just not the same after that. Tells you how important he is to the Blazers. I mean, he goes out, and it was just that's when things fell apart for Portland against that Miami team. And now the calf injury looks like he's going to be out for a minimum of 2 weeks for the Blazers. So not going to see Dame time. Ain't Dame time anymore. At least not for the next couple of weeks here for Portland. So what that means is you're probably going to see a little bit of a shuffle in the backcourt. Looks like Chauncey Billups. He's going to go with Anthony Simons and Josh Hart tonight in that backcourt for the Blazers in this game. Little, Grant, Nurkic rounding out the starting five tonight for Portland. Looks like on the Houston side, we've got I left my wallet in El Segundo. He's still out. Sungun for the Houston Rockets. It looks like KPJ. Game time decision tonight with the quad issue that he is battling through, although he's been upgraded to probable from the latest update. So we might see Kevin Porter and his 21.4 points per game in the game for Houston. I kind of lean Houston. Scary, right? Back in this Rockets team, it often can be, but at the same point in time, even though this team's only 1-4 straight up this year, they're the polar opposite ATS, 4-1. Against the number, and you see some of these results, hung tough against Memphis at 129-122. I mean, they were in the game against Atlanta for a large part of that game before they lost by 10 in that one. The Utah game, they ended up covering as 8.5-point dogs and won the first of the two against Utah. So after what I saw from Portland against Miami, once Lillard left the game, things fell apart. Like, it didn't even look like the same Portland team we had seen for those 4 games where they were winning and covering. And I have a hard time laying points with this group without Damian Lillard. So that's the reason I'm leaning to Houston here. Skee, what do you think? Rockets and Blazers.
I don't have a strong opinion here. All I would say is if you like the Rockets side, I probably would just take a money line, because when they lose, it's not usually close games. They usually lose by margin. So if you're going to take them, you might as well get that extra plus money with it. So that's all I'll say.
Yeah, it's the total's getting to a point, Star Child, where I'm interested in the over at 222. And I've mentioned how Portland's been a much better defensive team, and obviously it goes without saying the scoring of Lillard's going to be missed. They only got to 98 points against Miami, but man, that's a low total for Houston. Let me just say that right now. I mean, Houston, usually we think of them high 220s, 230s with pretty much all their totals. And we see this one now down to 222.5. That's value that's going to be very difficult and to resist and pass up. Billy, what do you think here? Houston, Portland.
Only lead here would be towards the backcourt, but the books are already kind of on top of the Anthony Simon props. But Josh Hart, 13.5 points, over -120. I like that one. If you want to play his points and rebounds, I wouldn't mind that either. He's had 6 rebounds in every game so far this season, maybe a sprinkle on the double-double here. I just can't back the Rockets on the road, man. Rockets on the road is not a good spot. Made some money on the Rockets the other night against Utah. Don't think I'm going to be going back towards that well for a very, very long time. I'm going to take my money from the bookies and hit them with a deuce. Probably be playing Call of Duty at this time of night.
Jalen Green actually is a prop that interests me for Houston. He got shut down a little bit last game, but before that, he was getting into the 20s, had a 33-point effort as well. So
I don't know. Hart could lock him up, though.
It's possible. It definitely – and look, Portland has played better defense. The numbers certainly are there. Will the defensive matchup be in his favor? As you mentioned, that's the question mark. But with the way he's been able to score for the Rockets, I still lean over his point prop here with the Houston Rockets tonight. Great stuff. Great analysis here for this Friday card. A huge card. We got 11 games on this NBA slate. 238 live viewers in the chat. Come on. Dutch isn't here, but I'll say it. Don't be motherfucking respectful. All right, hit the like button. We appreciate it very much here on this Friday NBA Pub Hub show. A fantastic Friday, if you will, because the weekend is upon us. We do have a World Series tonight, though. I do want to touch on that because it's just, it's a big-time championship series. Baseball, I know it's not a baseball show, but I know, Skee, you've been doing good with baseball. Do you like anything in the series and in Game 1, Phillies-Astros tonight?
Well, for the series, I hate to say it, but I think the Astros are probably the better team and probably going to win just because longer the series goes. I think just not enough arms I trust on the Philly side. Now for this first game and the second game, those bullpen arms, they've at least had a lot of rest. And we'll see if Nola, can handle it. I do trust Wheeler a lot more than I trust Nola. I think in game 2, I'm for sure rolling with the Phillies, or at least Phillies first 5, first Valdez. And then for game 1, we all know Verlander's history as far as game 1s. For some reason, I just feel like he's going to show up tonight. And I think Nola pitches a good game too. Last time out for Nola versus the Astros, I think he had 9 strikeouts and like a little bit over 6 innings. And last time for Verlander versus the Phillies, he had like 10 strikeouts and 5 innings. So I think both of them have a good start. And I think you can do either one strikeout prop. And I think it's a lower scoring game. If I have to pick a winner for the game, it'd probably be the Astros.
Yeah, this is a series I'm not going to do much betting-wise, especially from a side perspective. I will not step in front of Houston. They've annihilated everybody. They look like they have a chance to go undefeated here in the playoffs. But at the same time, Philly's got a special kind of magic, going right now. And I'm not sure I'm in a rush to lay a big price against them either. So, yeah, that's why it's just going to be, for me, mostly sit back and watch and enjoy, hopefully, a decent World Series. Great stuff. Hit the like button, everybody in our chat. We'll get to best bets to wrap up the show right after we hear from Southtown 101 and Manscaped. All right, Southtown 101. When you're in San Antonio, Texas, stop in. Great food, drinks, live music, DJs, karaoke, Southtown 101, manscaped.com. Lawnmower 4.0, any product on the website, make sure you get it with the promo code PubSports. Get 20% off at manscaped.com. All right, best bets to wrap it up for this Friday edition of the NBA Pub Hub. Skee, we'll start with you. Best bet. What do you like?
I'll go with Chicago and San Antonio. Like I said, both teams are giving up a little bit above 31 points per game in the first quarter. In the first quarter, total is 56.5. So we're going up and over.
There you go. That's a that is a first half total with the
No. First quarter.
First quarter. There you go. First quarter total. Over 56.5 first quarter. Chicago and San Antonio. Best bet for Skee Profit. All right, Billy Briz, best bet.
Yeah, best bet tonight. We're going to go to Disneyland. We're going to take Orlando Magic on the money line tonight. You can get plus 110, move down to plus 108 on FanDuel. And favorite prop tonight, we're going to go with Michael Porter Jr. over 2.5 3-pointers.
All right, there it is. Michael Porter Jr. over 2.5 3-pointers, favorite prop, and the Orlando Magic to get it done against Charlotte for Billy Briz with his best bet. Mine's going to be those Cleveland Cavaliers. I think they're getting too many points, even against a Boston team returning home off a blowout loss. The front court advantage will allow the Cavs to keep this game close, in my opinion, and certainly they haven't been losing games at all by any sort of margin this year. They only lost Toronto, and that was a competitive game. I think we see a competitive game here as well. Worst case scenario, Cleveland plus 6.5 against Boston for my best bet for this Friday NBA card. That's a wrap for the NBA Pub Up for the day, for the week. We'll have another great week of shows. Remember, we're here Monday to Friday, all regular season long, 4 p.m. Eastern. It'll be the original 4, the OG Monday of the NBA Pub Up every Monday with me, Skee, Dutch, and Wham. Tuesdays, it'll be Dutch, Wham, and Durrell. Wednesdays, it's me, Dutch, and Wham on Wednesday. I've always got to think about it first and make sure I don't screw it up. Thursday, of course, it's Dutch, Skee, and Durrell. And Friday, of course, it's the three of us, me, Skee, and Billy Briz. So make sure you tune in Monday to Friday, NBA Pub Up right here on Pub Sports Radio. I will be back for the College Football Pub-Up Show tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you join us for that. For Billy Briz, Skee Prophet, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We will see you again Monday, a new week of the NBA Pub-Up right here on Pub Sports Radio.